So today we're going to do the snorkel installation. So we've actually got a Fatz Fabrication stainless steel snorkel. We've got a black powder coated one, look good with the white paint. So the first step is actually getting that get that snorkel in. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to lift the car up. We're going to utilize the hoist because we've got it. We need to take the rear inner guard out. Then we need to do some get the template onto the car. And then there's going to be a bit of cutting going on, which is going to be make me a little bit nervous, but we'll give it a crack anyway. So the inner guard is out, we've lowered that down. We can now get access into the inner guard area. So we'll lower it down and start putting the template on it and mark it out so we can start cutting. Bonnet struts, haven't had them before. So this is our snorkel. It's a Fatz Fabrication stainless steel snorkel, black powder coated. What we're actually going to do, it's a pretty big snorkel, so we're actually going to get some tape and actually mark up the body of the car with tape. That way we can draw the markings onto the tape, and we're not going to damage any paintwork or anything sort of as we're going. We'll also drape a sheet over the rest of the car just to make sure there's no swarf or any other metal filings that get anywhere we don't want them to. So we're just going to remove this part of what's basically a leaf guard. It's where all the obviously fresh air comes into the airbox. So we're just going to remove it so it's out of the way. We're going to need to get rid of it anyway. So we're going to remove the airbox. I'm going to start with removing the lid from it, and then we'll start disconnecting all the bits and pieces to be able to get it out. I'm going to unplug the MAF sensor and undo the hose, take the hose off so we can take the whole thing out and get it completely out of the way. How's the dust ingress? So removing the Toyota airbox, I'm a bit undecided about whether I'm actually going to keep the standard Toyota airbox or actually upgrade it to another unit. There have been dust issues in terms of ingress into the engine. I'm going to monitor it for a little while and see how we go. So as you can see in this airbox, there's actually a couple of holes in the bottom of it. So we'll probably seal that hole up. We've still actually got a valve here, so if water does get in it under pressure and under load, water can still drain out if need be. So we'll any holes that are in there and leave the valve system that's in there already. So we're going to get rid of this bit as well. The instructions that Fatz have sent us are a little bit vague in terms of actually how to connect it up to the airbox. Pretty much all it says is connect to the airbox. So we've had to play around with it. We're going to get rid of this part. Looks like basically it'll go back in with that. Hopefully it doesn't rub on the metal. Obviously you've got a lot of metal there, so we'll have a look and see. I've got some rubber seal upstairs, so I may even just put a rubber seal in there just to make sure we don't get any metal that's going to cut through that cut through the hose. Just to help with the seal, because we really want to make sure this is waterproof, is we're actually going to take this little rubber seal off here. We'll use a bead of silicone, so we'll run a bead of silicone around it, then throw the hose over the top and clamp it on. As the silicone dries, it's going to create a really good seal, much better than this little foam component here. All right, template's in, it's been drawn. Time's come, we're gonna get into cutting it. So we'll remove the template. Drawing's been marked there, and we'll go get a drill bit and we'll get our pneumatic hacksaw and we'll start cutting. and it's still a fair way off getting flush with all of that. Right, so we've lined up the bracket onto the A-pillar. I'm actually more nervous about this because this is ultimately going to be how the snorkel looks than cutting into that. That we can sort of just trim and make it fit. But this part, the bracket's not right. That means it's going to look silly, but we've tested it about 6 times, so fingers crossed we'll get the drill holes in, nutsert the points into the A-pillar, and then we'll get the bracket in and she'll be right to start mounting it. So this is the bracket and how it mounts. As you can see, it goes in there. You need to mount it to the snorkel first, then throw it onto the car, line it up, take your bracket off, mount your bracket to the car, and then you can put the snorkel back onto it. Right, so we've drilled the holes, we've just got to put the nutserts in. We'll just clean it up, put some little bit of paint on, make sure it's all good for rust proofing. We've got our own little pinch weld which we've just put in for trial fitting. We don't want to ruin the good pinch weld by taking it in and out. So we're just trial fitting that. We're going to rip that off, just clean up the edges and then do the old paint and some rust proofing around that as well. Then the pinch weld can go on, nutserts can go in, and installation can take place. Just using some white rust guard. We actually got pearl white. Just a rust guard metal paint, just to prevent any rust on any exposed metal. So we'll just, anywhere that's been cut or looks like it's been touched, we'll just hit it with a tiny little bit of this just to cover it all up. Yeah. How's that sitting? If I tighten the others up now, is it going to sit right?
Yeah. Yep.
So just inside here is where our silicone hose is going to run through from the snorkel into the airbox. So we're actually going to use a bit more rubber pinch seal. Just that way the silicone hose isn't going to be rubbing on this metal strip, which is without a doubt going to wear through it eventually. So something definitely to keep in mind if you can do this yourself. Right, so up in there is actually one of the mounts for what was the old leaf guard in there. So it's going to get in the way of that rubber hose. You could put it in without, but I reckon over time it's actually going to hit it and wear it away. So we're actually going to cut it out before we throw it all in. So we're just getting the airbox ready to go back in the car. There was this rubber, or there was a foam strip all the way around it, so we're just actually taking the foam strip off, and then we'll put a bit of silicone in just to make sure that all of the those seals are all completely covered. Luckily it comes off nice and easy. Taking any of the extra gunk off, and then see how we've got these little couple of little holes. We'll just fill them up with silicone. We just don't want to sort of have any gaps where you could have any dust, dirt, water, anything else like that sort of rolling in. So we're just going to mount the airbox back into the car. Obviously it's a new silicone hose that's connecting to, so we're just got to make sure that's nice and snug and fits nice and well. At the moment, Landcruisers have a bit of a reputation for letting dust in the airboxes. So what we're actually doing is we've got a bit of rubber grease, which we've just gotten out of the tool cabinet. What we're going to do is we're actually going to just run it all the way along the seal, all the way around. What that will do is that'll just create a little bit of extra seal. If there's any dust or anything else that comes through, the grease will actually catch it and stop it from getting into the airbox. So it's just a little bit of extra safety protection. Sensor back on, tighten the hose back on, and make sure everything's out of the way, and she's all good. just giving it the final cleanup. She's all hooked up. Looks like everything's sealed correctly. So we'll start her up and take her outside. She's had a good clean. So yeah, let's get her outside now.
Don't let you. Heard it then.
It's getting louder. Bird through it.
With what? Soot.
No soot, mate. DPF.
No soot.
soot.
What do you reckon? Stoked?
Yeah, looks good.
Right, so Snorkel's on. She's looking pretty good, pretty happy with how it's all come up. Next step's actually to get some bar work on. So it's booked in at ARB, which is actually directly next door to us, which is fortunate. So we'll take it down there. They're going to look it over and get some bar work onto this thing. So yeah, they need it for a couple of days, which is cool. But it's going to look unreal when it's when we get it back. So yeah, fingers crossed it all fits nicely.